Hammer,
Anyway, Dan, let's start the show with some news.
Kuvara, my borders.
What you mavara today, Tony?
We have to keep our borders very safe. Tikuda kumavara, my borders. Kuti. Vekudaya spora. Vasapindanika. Vachiti torera, my baby. Nani Tese. Takambo biwa, my baby. Nemunu ungi ane mota yekurenta. Yekajosa. Zakatiri Guvara, my border. Because of Pana at Chapinda this December. Nobody's gonna enter the country this December.
There we have a new statement by my boy Donnie. It's good. He's the best. But however, he failed to lock down the border because La Parada was full. So full. La Parada had so many people, so many cars. Okay. Mercedes, they were there. The Fortuners, the GD6s, so many of them. And it was
Raptors.
Too much.
So many Raptors.
Too many Raptors. The ones with no
Ford
number plate. No number plate with the limousine tent. Where are they coming from? Who is buying these Raptors?
We claim that there is no jobs in this country, yet the Raptors were all over La Parada. Some people say that it should be called La Raptada. Philip, I am saying this on record so that everyone understands.
Don't complain. Our listeners hate it.
I'm not complaining.
Let's record.
No.
Let's record.
Not a complaint.
You're about to say, guys,
No.
This is a short episode because my name is Ben and I'm a loser. Okay, so
I'm saying it on record so no one gets disappointed. This is going to be shorter than usual. And I know everyone's looking at, right now you're looking at you're looking at 2 hours 45, like, yeah, sure. No, for real though. So Philip, please give us our Afro-Tech intro.
Oh, I deleted those. I was like, after I finally fixed the hey yo. So listeners, let's give you the update. Those of you that listen to the show, you might have noticed that the podcast.
Don't apologize, Phil. Think like a CEO. I thank them for their patience.
Thank you for your patience.
Don't apologize.
Well, we worked on the back end to clear an issue that was not our fault. Actually, wasn't our fault.
We appreciate your deference, and we trust that there were no inconveniences. Positivity. People don't like it when someone apologizes too much. We learned that from Young, Famous, and African.
Okay.
Right? So sorry guys. The issue was that episode, it kept failing. It took 4 days of trial and error, speaking to support, solving the issue on the back end. Ayo! But we finally managed to fix the issue. Yeah. So you might have seen the episode a little late. So some of you who subscribed to our YouTube would have seen it, but yeah. Yeah, there were multiple issues there. We want to apologize for, I think the two major ones was that it was a late upload. And like Phil mentioned, it was because technical issues with our what's the correct word?
CDN, Dan. Our CDN.
Yes.
The word you used last week.
Yeah. So the technical issues, Phil put on full Karen mode. I want to speak to the manager. I was like, Phil, relax, man. We're from Africa, bro. And then, anyway, eventually it was sorted. We hope it won't be a problem coming up. And then the other thing was there was just a little issue with the quality of the audio. We've had some, strong internal discussions to try and ensure that issue does not come up again. So thank you for your patience, and we want to apologize for that. But otherwise, look, we may as well still just keep the vibes going. Start it off with the right energy. And do what we got to do. So, Philip.
What?
We're supposed to be on point this time. Let's go.
No, yeah.
Everybody gather round. Two broke Twimbos in the town. That guy and Phil Chad, they bringing the fun. With your podcast vibes, we not stop till the morning sun. Every episode got me laughing, can't control my smile. Talking about the latest news with their unique style. From Zimbabwe to the world, they spreading good vibes, keeping it real and entertaining.
We're on the rise.
Two broke Twimbos, bring the heat to the floor. Everybody get guy and feel charged in control. We gonna keep moving to the podcast flow. Hey, 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 hey. We gonna keep moving to the podcast flow.
Hey, hey, hey. What's really good? What's really good, everybody? It's so good to be back once again with all of y'all.
Yeah. Hello. Hello out there in internet land. How do you fare? How do you do?
We would like to believe, we hope that you have had a great week since we last caught up. It may have been a couple of days if you only got the episode late. But let this be a good time for us to remind you that you can catch Two Broke Twimbos in so many different places. So if you subscribe to us using a podcast app, then you probably receive the RSS feed. In fact, you don't even need to know how it works. It just gets downloaded on your phone through the podcast app. Great. You're able to receive it that way and consume it that way. But there are multiple other ways to consume it. You can go directly to the website. Every time a new episode comes out, twobroketwimbos.com. It'll be up there so you can listen directly from there. The player also, I've tested it. It still plays when you minimize the website. So if for some reason the podcasting system is not working, you can go to the website. You can also go to our YouTube, because ever since Google Podcasts stopped being a thing, it's now YouTube Podcasts. So we distribute to YouTube as well every episode. So the audio of the episode is on YouTube. Unfortunately, YouTube Podcast is not yet a service in Zimbabwe officially. So we don't seem to be getting the benefits that are supposed to come, the discoverability, et cetera. But the fact of the matter is the audio is on YouTube. And not only that, what else is on? It's like on TuneIn. In fact, all the podcast apps. So,
where all fine podcasts are available.
Another way that some of you are consuming this podcast is through the short clips that appear on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter.
Hello, people on TikTok. Hello.
Welcome, guys. Welcome. Let me try and fix my lighting here. And
yes, Dan.
How do I look?
Yeah, we're celebs out here in these streets.
Look, people keep coming up to me and asking for autographs and pictures. And if you are a fine young ting, please do not do so, because it will be interpreted wrong as someone who is now cuffed. But if you are a clapped ting, you're very welcome to come through. Autographs and pictures anytime. If you're a clapped ting, if you're a fine young ting.
You got jokes. You got jokes because the wife's away, auntie. Wait until she listens to them. Yeah, her mother will tell her. Her mother will phone her and be like, "Listen to this. Put the other phone on speakerphone. This is what your man is saying." And then that'll be
but what am I saying? That's bad for. I mean, that's good for a relationship. Oh. If you know you're a fine young ting,
so you can cheat on that ugly ting.
No, I said you are welcome if you see me out in the streets and you want to come and say hi. If you know you're a fine ting, relax. It's better to, put a comment in the podcast and say, "Oh, I saw you at the thing. It was nice to see you. Greatly appreciated." If you're a clap ting, it doesn't matter, because you just come and say, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hey, thank you so much for the support." Guys, I'm just joking. Okay, please don't take me seriously. All right. This is just a joke. Everyone who listens to this podcast is a fine ting. Except you know who you are. One person, you know who you are, and I'll never forgive you. But everyone else, you're a fine ting. Fine ting. Energy of the podcast needs to be rectified real quick. So allow me to ask a very important question. Phil, listeners, are y'all
good to go? Sound of it, thing them.
Let me hear a drum play.
right. Welcome to another episode of Two Bro Twimbos. Your boys Danny That Guy and Phil Chada now back one more again for a brand new episode. 2025 has started off strong, our third episode of the year. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Danny That Guy, aka Danos the Mad Titan, aka Denford Wegumaraini, aka Denimbi My Life Entertainment, aka I'm done with these streets. Catch me in a car that drives itself, drives on radio waves, baby, because we are inventors here in Zimbabwe, aka Akuna Mumwendi Danmu. Very nice. Just the exact sound we're looking for.
You know, Dan, Dad, I am nothing but assistive, you know. That's what I do. That's what I bring to the table. You know what I mean? And he's here with the one, the only, the best, Phil Chart, a.k.a. your Fluent Floss, the Big Boss, a.k.a. Filthy Phil, Sex Acting Lover, DJ McCarty. Eat some carrot, okay? Eat some carrot. Elon Musk, good friend of mine, okay? We're doing the AI, we're doing the Starlink, we're gonna save it, okay? China, stopping China. And of course, so good friend, please buy me a drink, okay? But it has to be from McDonald's. That's all I have, okay? The pop from McDonald's. Okay, thank you. Welcome back to the show, guys. You good? What's going on?
Let's get straight into it. We're going to start off by celebrating Africans doing big things.
Wow, this is just straight into it. Wow.
Yeah, straight into it, Phil. Straight into it. No smiling this year. No smiling until Friday.
Oh, I had a song to raise the energy, but it's fine. I'll keep it for later.
Yeah, I know. We've already raised the energy, Phil. We've already raised the energy.
Hallelujah!
Phil, I hope your waveform looks good, because over Zoom it sounds like it's a little clipped. But
your
just
face is
giving
clapped,
you an alert so that
your face is clapped.
clapping in it. All right. Yes, we were talking about Africans doing big things around the world. Look, this past week was Paris Fashion Week, and our producer saw fit for us to point out on an audio podcast the African stars who were on the red carpet at Paris Fashion Week via audio description. So we shall now do our best.
Oh, this is going to be a great game.
We shall now do our best to shout out the Africans who were on Paris Fashion Week's red carpet. Okay. First off,
hold on.
Thames.
Hold on. We've got to do like this. We've got to do the audio step. Fashion Watch.
On this audio podcast, we are now going to describe in vivid detail the African celebrities who were spotted on the red carpet at Paris Fashion Week. First on the list, none other than Thames. Caption: Thames keeps it feminine and oh so chic at the Jacquemus show. Thames is wearing what can only be described as a doctor's overall, but sexy. Good Lord. Woo! Stretching the definition of African, we move on to British Nigerian rapper.
Stretching is that describes what's going on. There's a lot of stretch. God damn, this peanut butter's been in the freezer. You know, frozen peanut butter, Dan.
See, Phil.
Good Lord.
This was going to be a TikTok highlight, but now we cannot be putting this. Stretching on the definition of African, we move on to British Nigerian rapper who continues to embarrass any man who's taking a photo with him.
Yo, time out. So, time out. So,
please center your mic. This is now video, Phil. Center your mic. Okay. There we go. Beautiful. Go on.
If you're on social media, you may have seen a lot of women thirsting over Skepta over the years. But sometimes women tend to thirst over someone irrationally. Like, I wouldn't say Aaron Pierre, but there's sometimes, remember like the criminal who had his mugshot and people were thirsty for him. Then they showed him smiling and he had no teeth. And then everyone just came down to earth. Sometimes this is what happened. It's like an irrational obsession, an irrational thirst, which isn't really, it's just internet hype. And Skepta,
I mean, we understand as men.
Yeah. I think Skepta over the years, his hype has continued to grow. I've always known Skepta as the rapper, as you know, as part of the siblings, you know, part of the Adenuga siblings. Speaking of, that family's wild. You've got
Phil, focus.
Okay, anyway.
Focus. Come back.
Great genes in that family. Very talented family. But in recent years, women have been getting more and more thirsty, and I think him dating Naomi Campbell kind of put it over the edge. I think that really cemented, because girls were like, wait a minute. If he's bagging Naomi, he must be special. And then they've been thirsting ever since. Mans, to his credit, he's been really zoraring the puns. He's been really doing his daily press-up routine, looking good. So they've been comparing him to other men. Then they did a couple of series with the guys I won't mention. They did a comparison between him when he sat next to Aaron Pierre. And then people kept commenting with that joke from Cat Williams. They were like, a Chrysler 300 looks like a Phantom until a Phantom pulls up. In this instance, Skepta was the Phantom. And I was like, you know what, guys? You're being cruel. You're being mean. Then they posted a photo of him standing next to Idris Elba. I've never seen Idris Elba look so plain in my life. I was like, God damn it. This nigga looks like he's from Shishane.
So what? First of all, no disrespect to y'all from Shishane, but what are you saying, Phil? Are you saying that either is he clapped or is not clapped?
Ooh, Skepta.
Yeah.
Girl, he not clapped. Girl.
Anyway, Skepta was giving minimalist rebellion on the red carpet at the Louis Vuitton show.
He was giving, I forgot this show was happening, and I got dressed in the car.
He was giving, wait, I came here for a shower. What? This a show? My man's is wearing a white shirt with a cravat draped loosely around. Yeah, great. Anyway, we'll move on. Uncle Waffles was at the Jacquemus. I don't know how to say that.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing in the mirror?
Philip, we're looking at the fashion. That's what we're looking at.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing in the mirror, though? Are you seeing
at the fashion?
Are you seeing?
I am seeing
what I'm seeing.
Didn't she go to Brazil? I think she went to Brazil, didn't she?
You know, or
Turkey. Maybe she went to Turkey.
When you go to Rocco Mama's and you want the waffle, they're like, would you like the half or the full portion? You know what I'm saying?
And you're like, can I get the double, the double full?
Yep, that's what we talk
with cold peanut butter on top.
PKP.
Uncle Waffles is wearing what can only be described as the Dune special.
Yes, Timothy.
She looks
the Chalamet Chateau special.
Yes, and for those of you listening to this on audio, I think we've clearly explained to you what Uncle Waffles is wearing.
Basically, she looks like if Hassan Al-Khalib had a fatty.
All right, we move on to some other Africans who were on the red carpet. Shabuzi.
What the hell is he?
Nigerian American country singer. Yo, what a combination of things there. Is wearing what can only be described as what Dan used to wear when he went out at 21.
That is actually scarily accurate. I believe he's also wearing the I'm stealing clothes from my dad's closet, even though he last wore this in 1979 collection. Yeah, very apt. Very, very trendy, very stylish.
So shout out
to Shabuzi once again for representing for Zimbabweans the Bachine gene combo back in full force.
One time we there. Mm-hmm. We there. We there. In fact. No, let's not get too distracted. We move on. Another African on the Paris Fashion Week red carpet. Tyler. Who is wearing what can only be described?
I don't figure you. I'm scrolling past. I'm not looking at that. Tyler, I don't figure you.
She is wearing a medium tie, necktie. That's about it.
Let's move on. Oh, let's move on to Omar Lay, looking like a failed pimp from Alabama.
Omar Lay can be described as giving a pimp named Slickback meets
a pimp named Draft. What?
Look, very colorful.
We need to put these.
We need to
put these photos in the group so that they know what we're talking about.
This is what I expect to see when we are talking Fashion Week. You know, someone who gets bold, really doesn't care what people say about him.
They
really
don't care
out
what they
there,
says.
like doesn't care what people says. Just I'm here. I'm here.
But do you care what they do? Are you going to stick to your girl?
But
Like
doesn't
glue?
care what they does.
Doesn't
care what they does.
2.
All right. 2025 Grammys. We have a very helpful article from OK Africa that says, here's all you need to know about African artists at the 2025 Grammys. And apparently what we have to know is who the nominees are. So we've got obviously Thames. We've got Angelique Kidjo, who's nominated in Best Global Music Performance. We've got Ghanaian reggae legend Rocky Dawouni, who's also nominated. We've got Yemi Alade. What else have we got? We got Ashake and Wizkid. We got Davido and Lil J. We've got Burna Boy, all nominated in a Best African Music Performance. We've got best. I think it's Best African Album. Is that correct? Or Best? I can't remember what the name of the thing it does mention here. But Rema is in there for his album, as well as Thames. We've got Shabuzi. Again, I don't know why we're listing him as African, but it's cool.
Dude.
And
Africans are just doing what we Zimbabweans have been doing since memory. We're claiming.
yeah, but that's
your great uncle
that's
tried to
gentrification.
remove. Might have come to Zimbabwe once when he was 3. He's Zimbabwe.
Jordan Adetunji as well, British Nigerian rapper. So yeah, those are some of the nominations that we are expecting. And in terms of performances, I think. Thames has the most nods, by the way, the most Grammy nominations, which is she's got 3 nominations: Best African Music Performance, Best Global Music Album, and Best R&B Song. Okay, yeah. So let's see how well Africa does at the upcoming Grammys. That's it. There's something else I saved on my phone, but I didn't prepare it, so it's fine. We'll just leave it for the next one.
Yeah, just admit to the listeners you don't care about them.
No, I saved it, but I did not copy it across, you know.
Oh,
I care, but not that
We've
much.
got a detailed note from our producer, Dan. I don't know if this is our producer or you. A follow-up from
that
last
was me.
episode. That was you. Dennis
me,
on the
yeah.
song from last week. Dash not.
I just put that on there to remind myself to talk about it. So remember we tried to call Dennis last week. So he then called me back the next day. He's like, hey, sorry, man, I was asleep. You know, my bedtime, 7 p.m. I was like, oh, good, man. We were on the podcast. We're calling you about your song. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, your song. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, the hip hop song that comes out that says it has Dennis on it. So he says, oh, so you see the name Dennis and you just assume that that's me.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? You're very right. That is actually my
branding.
bad.
That is branding.
That is my bad.
Wow. So there was a fight between Dennis and Dennis.
I
Who would win between
I have
Dennis
to
and Dennis?
apologize. I'm not a fighter, Phil. I'm not a fighter. I'm proud of it because I am the modern man. So look, Dennis wasn't the Dennis that we know. All right, wasn't on that song. I just made an assumption, and he made a very valid point. Why would I think it was him? So want to apologize for that. So yeah,
because of branding. Are you a Dennis eater? Oh gosh.
Tell me what you want to say about the wedding, Philip.
Oh, I just want to give a big congratulations. Let me get the sound, bro.
Why would you put it on the follow up from last episode?
No, because I don't forget. Because We Outside was going to be too far down, but there's a follow up.
Okay, cool.
Good to go.
Nice.
There we go. Shout out to Sunday.
You forgot.
Let me hear a drum play.
So, our friend Zandi Mubi, owner of the restaurant Shay Sunday, which you might be familiar with, a place where Dan cut his teeth as a DJ back in the day. Got married this weekend, so we're at the wedding. It was a lovely affair, nice traditional wedding. After party at Londoners, turned at the wedding. But the reason why I also put this up is, do you know how many people just like randomly, people I've not met before, may have seen once or twice, but I don't really know their names, will come up to me and be like, yo, did Dan find his dog? And I was like, what?
yeah, Dan, like, did he find his dog? And I'm like, where did you know about this? I'm like, oh no, we saw it on TikTok or on Instagram. This happens so much. It actually got like, I was texting Dan. I was like, yo, dude, this is ridiculous. So every time I text him, it would just be like another number. And then I came home the next day. And then my neighbor, who I've known for a year, flags me down and said, hey, do you have a podcast? I'm like, yeah. Oh, snap. So it was you. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I saw your video. Did your friend find his dog?
You see, that's great. But imagine if we had used that video to promote the podcast.
That's what we did. We promoted the podcast. So we need to figure out, we need to create a series. Like it'll be, I can't believe, what was it? I don't know who I married or who the F did I marry, but this one will be Where the F is My Dog, a TikTok series.
No, that's too depressing. We're still very sad about that film.
By the way, follow up. Did you
if
find
you
him
guys want to hear?
Did you find him in the Chinese person's apartment?
I did not. That Chinese house is completely locked up. I saw, I guess, a neighbor or passerby or something was like, yeah, no, they don't let anyone in. I was like, I wonder why. Anyway, so my next step is to go to the SPCA because the SPCA were called and they came through and tried to gain access. Then they went and got the police. Then I don't know what happened after that. So I need to go to the SPCA. I should have gone, honestly, I should have gone over the weekend, but I was so incredibly busy and that's so bad-ish. And yeah, I'm going to have to go to the SPCA. But update. So I have 2 dogs. I have the large dog Chester and a small puppy. His name's Archie. Cute little puppy, full big ball of energy. Unfortunately, with Chester having gone missing, Archie is lonely and he's a puppy. Shame. It feels so bad that his friend and, companion has gone missing. So he went into what I thought was depression. He lost all that energy. He spent the whole day sleeping. He was barely eating and I was getting worried. So at first I was like, okay, this might be, maybe he's depressed that he lost his friend. Is he sick maybe? Or I don't know what's going on. Anyway, eventually at some point I was like, okay, this is very worrying now. So I took him to the vet and they did some tests and they were like, turns out he's got biliary fever, better known as tick bite fever. Very common in summer months, and apparently very dangerous, potentially lethal. Mm-hmm. So after the treatment, he's now back to his extremely energetic self. So yeah, I guess it wasn't depression.
Because I was about to ask you, why are you assigning these human emotions? Why are you anthropomorphizing a dog? You don't know if that's
Phil,
depression.
I did what anyone else does. I Googled. You insert symptoms and Google. And apparently it's a thing.
And Dog MD was
any major changes in a WebM Dogs was like, any major change in a dog's routine or environment could sometimes trigger, like lethargy and tiredness and all of that because of depression. I was like, okay, come on, guys, relax, like for real. So I thought that, and then the other thing I thought was like maybe he's sick, maybe he ate something funny, I don't know. So it was when it was a couple of days of the same behavior, I was like, okay, now this is getting worrying. So look, dogs have been an issue in this household for a while. And I don't think I'd be happy to create a dog segment to relive my trauma over and over. So yeah, it's tough over here. Find Chester, hashtag. Okay, let's keep it moving. Shout out Zandi. Congratulations on your wedding. I wish you happiness and bliss for the rest of your life, my sister.
And
last week,
nice segue. I see that segue. You are smart, too.
Last week, we spoke about the reality TV show on Netflix, Young, Famous, and African, featuring a ragtag group of celebrities from Africa, particularly South Africa, one from Nigeria or 2 from Nigeria, and actually 3 from Nigeria because Tubaba would sometimes make an appearance, and a couple one from Namibia, etc., etc. Anyway, we spoke about some of the issues from there. Turns out after the episode came out,
Tuba was like, you know what? It was like, Tuba was like, you know what? Phil and Dan, they said something that really hit me. Yeah, I'm going to follow through because he's an avid listener since being on the show.
Yeah. By the way, if you want to listen to the Tubaba interview, some people know him as Two-Face before he changed his name. You can scroll up. We have an interview with the legend himself, Tubaba. Anyway, so yeah, apparently, again, there's people who are really invested in the story who will know all the details. But for me, what I know is he apparently put out a statement announcing that they were divorcing. And then another statement followed up, basically saying, disregard that, he was hacked. Then he put out a video saying, hey, don't listen to people saying I was hacked. I'm telling you, we are divorcing. And I was like, geez.
Yo, she still had access to the phone. She was just like, nah, nigga, playing. We gonna fix this.
I don't think so. I think I suspect it was like publicists and stuff who were trying to like, yo, man, we need to manage this, No, do this, do that, Or maybe it was her. I don't know. A woman scorned. You never know. So, yeah, that's wild. And here we are, That's unfortunate, but I know that the producers of Young, Famous, and African did a quick hop, skip, and a jump.
They're like, we've got a new season of storylines, and we didn't have to try.
Storylines. The reality shows are not, they should be banned, honestly, because how can you use people's real life pain to entertain? Aye.
Oh gosh.
Ish, and this was after, I think it was season 2. They had the vow renewals. And
how many people attended those vow renewals? Then that's another question. How many people were there?
I think 7.
Okay, they don't count.
Now, Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Phil. Quick aside, right? And I hate to talk about this because I don't want us to be that kind of podcast, but
let's not be.
Every man, not every man, but I think most men quickly recognize a man who's moving mad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Like very quickly, you can see that
within a minute, you'll be like, but it's really okay. It's fine.
Your man is moving mad.
But if you're happy,
ladies,
happy, I love it.
If you have a male friend who is not actively trying to get in your pants, and if you really want to know the truth, that male friend knows if your man is moving mad. I mean, any man who watched Young, Famous, and African could very quickly come to their conclusions about how my man was moving.
Wait, as far as I understand, Annie and Two-Face have been together since the beginning, right?
Of the show.
Yeah. No. Since the beginning of his career. She's his day one, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they got married in 2013, and I don't know how long they were dating. I think it's as close to day one as can. Yeah, okay. I guess so.
So, as far as I understand, he has 2 kids with Annie. Is that correct?
With Annie, I don't know how many. Phil, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I guess so. Yeah.
So I'm giving you the scolding tea because this is a scolding tea in all the groups. I was getting like, because some people just call me, you men are the dog. Can you believe what Two-Face did? I told you. And I was just listening and hearing the gossip. So once again, this is very unverified. This is gossip. This is the gossip section of the podcast. So this is a little departure from the norm when we're well researched and we want to give you guys a thing, but it's entertaining. It's fun. And it's
not entertaining. It's sad.
It pushes the narrative the men are scum, and I know you guys love that. But apparently, Annie's been there from the beginning or close to the beginning, and he has 2 kids with Annie, right? So Annie's been there from the beginning, and he just broke up with Annie. However, Baba has apparently 8 kids. When he met Annie, he had no kids. I'll leave you to do the maths.
What? The official version is that 5 of Tubaba's kids are from before Annie.
So there's one that was in between.
I never did the math. I didn't calculate. I didn't verify. All I know is the explanation that has existed is Tubaba has I didn't know it was 8. I thought it was 7, but he has multiple children.
I'm giving you the gossip that I was given. These are unverified facts. It's just for the sake of entertainment.
Yeah. So anyway, fun trivia fact. Annie Macaulay was on the set of African Queen and was the video vixen. And that is when apparently that's when they met. So,
wow.
Anyway, yeah, that's a sad development. If you detect a hint of glee in our voices, please, that's wrong. There is no glee. It is a sad development.
It really is sad to see a beautiful couple, broken,
split. Yeah, over malicious rumors. But again, any man can see someone moving mad. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? These are unfounded allegations. That's all I'm saying.
I never said he is. I'm just saying any man can see someone moving mad. That's what I'm saying.
All I said is, these malicious rumors are unfounded allegations. Okay, we don't know.
We have no evidence one way or the other.
Whatsoever. And personally, I think people should stop casting aspersions on our legends. This is the problem. We don't respect our legends.
And the problem is, you know what I mean? The global machine is designed to make men look bad. And
especially the who? The black man. Think about it. Stay woke, my brothers and sisters.
Speaking of people moving mad, predators move in flocks. They'll be placed on neighborhood watch.
Okay, this isn't actually funny. This is
y'all's favorite streamer, and Drake cheerleader in chief, DJ Akademiks.
Drake's under fire this week. Drake's Diddy Demics.
He was under fire this week.
Akadiddy.
As people started unearthing videos of his old streams, and some not even that old, and started bringing out stories about DJ Akademiks and his history. Let's just say with inappropriate comments, relationships with minors. Anyway, his account on Twitch was banned, which is
suspended. According to him, suspended.
Or suspended, all right, I guess. I don't know. And like I said, people were reacting to different clips. They were pulling up different clips of him saying weird stuff, different old tweets and stuff. And yeah. So for example, he was on a Twitch stream with a 15-year-old, and he was
Discord chat. It was a Discord chat room.
It was Discord, wasn't it a live stream, like a live Discord stream?
They may,
because you can stream from.
They may have been streamed, but it was in the Discord. So Discord has that Clubhouse feature. So it was in Discord, and there's this moderator. For those of you who don't know, a moderator is basically a lot of these live streamers. They will have 10 to hundreds of thousands of people in the chat. Sometimes people are actually trying to have a conversation. Sometimes people are just sharing spam. So you have people that are big fans that will volunteer to be moderators just to reject all the spam messages so that the comments on the live chat are clean. And there was this young boy, I believe he's from Malaysia. I stand to be corrected on that, named Noah, who was the only child in this Clubhouse room. So he's a Black Boy Max super fan. I went to his Instagram, his Twitter page when this story broke, and he was in his bio, literally Black Boy's biggest fan. His New Year resolutions were get up, hustle, grind, meet Black Boy Max. You can tell this kid adores the stream, right? But because the stream is also in the gaming community, I think there's some cross-pollination with other gamers, other people, etc. I don't know if prior to this recording that went public, Black Boy Max was in the room, but this kid found himself in a room. Black Boy Max was not part of the room, but he found himself in a room with DJ Akademiks, Tory Lane's manager, and a few other adult men. And they proceeded to ask some of the most disturbing questions to a 15-year-old. Keep in mind, this is a 15-year-old with adults in their 30s. And they're asking him about sex, asking him to have sex, asking who he'd has sex with, asking if he would consume the juices of Black Boy Max, asking if they could get his address so they could send strippers to his house, asking if he'd give up his booty cheeks to another man. It just progressively got more concerning and more disgusting and vile, pretty much. The momentum around the blowback was, to me, a bit slow. I think it really started picking up when Screwface Jean and then a few other big streamers started calling him out. But Ak was defiant on day one. He was just like, how dare you guys accuse me of this? This is ridiculous. I was just trolling the kid. Anyway, and screw Black Boy Max. Black Boy Max also said some inappropriate things, which is wild because Akademiks then threw Black Boy Max under the bus. And there's a series of clips of Black Boy Max also saying some very inappropriate things, sometimes not to minors,
there was a bit of phobia in homoeroticism in Black Boy Max's statements, which is obviously rooted in homophobia when even it was being used by academics as an attack. But he also doesn't have the cleanest of records. And it seems culturally amongst the streamers and the gamers, there is just a wild way they talk to each other. Anyone with common sense saw this immediately and was like, this is disgusting. There's no way an adult should be talking to a child this way. Rightly so. Akademiks went on his stream and said, this is people are making a mountain of a molehill. Actually, the only people that are trying to get me canceled for this are Kendrick fans. Everyone else doesn't care.
Oh, okay. All right. There we go. Okay.
And yeah. Then momentum built, and then he came back with a lot more somber and apologetic tone the following day. But yeah, that's the state of affairs. And then also Noir produced receipts publicly and privately to some people that I was talking to about the damage control Akademiks and his partners were trying to do behind the scenes because they're trying to discredit this boy publicly. And then Screwface Jean did an interview with him, but he didn't release it because he was like, I need to speak to this parents' guardians first because I think this is no longer something that's for entertainment, which I believe was a smart decision. I'm not too sure on American laws, so I don't know if Akademiks can be taken to court or rather arrested or tried or whatever. This can be put on his jacket if the child is not an American citizen themselves. I don't know. We'll see. But as of now, well, granted, it's always been F Akademiks, but once again, the reasons to hate him just continue to grow. Like every 3 to 6 weeks, he reminds us why we should not mess with this man.
I mean, but is that something that could go to court? I don't think so.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Unless maybe I don't know if he could press charges. Okay, look, I don't know. But yeah, obviously it's inappropriate. Okay, the one caveat I'll say is 15-year-old gamers probably say the wildest things to each other all the time. But the fact that there's...
Did you watch the video?
I saw a couple of clips, but obviously I was like, wait. But obviously there's no way that those kind of conversations can be had with 30-something or with adults. You know what I mean? It's... here's what I'm trying to do here. I think whenever there's these kind of conversations, there's a lot of there's a lot of very, very high emotion condemnation that puts everything at the same level. And I like to provide a certain level of, okay, hold on, let's just pause on the emotion for a second. This is I think Phil and I have spoken about in general what we think of the kind of caliber of person Akademiks is. And I rate him very low as a person, even just his general the way he speaks, the way he sees the world, the way he interprets the world. It's clear to me that this is not someone whose morals align with mine. And frankly, this kind of thing is not surprising. It's gross. It's messed up. That having been said, I also feel like a lot of times there's so much outrage that it's hard to like sit down and say, okay, what was actually the thing done? Which is gross and bad and whatever. But it's not, it's like everything is always either 10 out of 10 or 0 out of 10. To me, this is like it's not a 10 out of 10, get him out of here. But it's, this is part of a pattern that shows us this man should be out of here. That's how I see it.
I was going to intercede and say the other caveat, which since you haven't watched the video, you didn't know about, but the moment they start saying these things, the child says multiple times, guys, I'm 15.
I saw that clip.
Don't ask me that. And he's like, stop asking me this question. You're going to get us all in a case. I don't understand. This child is obviously under pressure with people that he admires, people that he looks up to, people that hold social capital above him. And not only are they,
and he seems to have a straighter head on his shoulder than Akademiks and the other guys.
Not only that, is he trying to tell you to check yourselves. He's doing it in a way that's like, hey guys, maybe don't say this on a public platform. You might go to jail. And they continue to dig a hole because they want to go to jail.
Yeah. You know what's even sadder than that? Just how many people probably have the same mindset or same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think of how to get. I actually had a very interesting. I had an interesting conversation with a friend this week. I'm trying to pass it the best way I could, and I also this stuff that I've been through, that I also had to stop and think. You know what? I've gone to therapy, so I've dealt with it. But when I was a younger boy, and I was molested, and one of the reasons why was, as a young boy, you don't know your body, and a lot of times it's by an older woman, right? And it's weird because part of male machismo, as FD Signifier says at the patriarchy, is when you bag an older woman, man, you're doing the things. Shout out to you. You know what I mean? Granted, I was a little younger for it to be at that, but as I got older, there were certain habits I picked up, which I realized were a result of this, pursuing older women and the like. And a lot of people don't know, I think some do, is that, biologically, it's very difficult for young boys to control their bodies. And it creates an environment where they are taken advantage of sexually. And on the flip side, there's always like a rush for men or boys to grow up and for women to remain as innocent as possible. And in as much as I've heard some horrific conversations from old individuals, I remember we used to have a basketball coach who used to say the most inappropriate things about like sex and how it aligned to playing tough and being a man. And it just never sat right with me. I even remember complaining about him. But that was common conversation. It's very common to have young uncles come to you and say, yo, you having sex yet? Okay, what are you doing? Okay, are you doing? Like a lot of the toxic thoughts that the manosphere is spreading to these young boys falls in line with what Akademiks was doing. And that's the reason why he was called out, is the grooming part. And it's very difficult to address that issue or come to terms with that issue until us men are honest with each other about some of the ways we may have been abused, we may have been taken advantage of, we may have been groomed, whether by older men or women. I remember having really disturbing, in retrospect disturbing, but at the time I was just like, okay, is this what people do? Where I had classmates who were 15, 16 talking about having sex with the maid. And high five.
I heard that as well.
And you're like, even back then I was like, wait, first and foremost, there's a power dynamic here that's weird. But then, as you get older, you're like, wait a minute. Your maid is a grown woman. You're a child. You're being raped. You know what I mean? And I think as men, we need to be honest with each other, because whether Akademiks was a victim of that or whether he's just replicating the horrible things he's heard from other people, the reason why people should be upset and the reason why people should be concerned for not only that young boy, but all other boys, is we need to stop abuse on both sides, because hurt people hurt people. And the cycle of abuse is on both sides of the line. Well, according to Trump, there's only two genders. So, on both sides of the two genders that they only believe in. But I would hope that we can actually have a proper conversation. We'll just open up room hold space, Dan, hold space, as Ariana Grande puts it, for people to at least have some internal dialogue with themselves and with their family. And some of our listeners even have children around that age. Just about healthy conversation around sex and their rights. And let kids be kids, man. Let kids discover kids at their level. Obviously at that age, when you hit puberty, you should be interested about sex. Your body is growing and changing and so forth, but it should be in a healthy environment amongst your peers or with a professional who's not going to try use their social capital and power against you to force you into doing something you shouldn't be doing with older women just so you can be part of the boys club. Nah, man, that's terrible.
100% correct. But here's my problem with that statement. The people who are receiving that statement already know and understand that. It's the abusers that we need to. You know, it reminds me of it reminds me of that Bill Burr joke, right? Which is when he was talking about you know, the anti-gender based violence messages that you see on TV, and his whole joke was like, most men know that. The ones who don't know that, it's going to be very hard for them to be swayed by seeing this message on TV or whatever. I can't remember the exact wording of the joke, but it is kind of, it's like it's almost a depressing thought that you, me, probably the majority of listeners to this podcast, like fully understand conversations about protecting children, conversations about treating people with dignity and respect. But there's going to be a certain subgroup of people, which sadly to me, and I sort of raised this, I think it was in the first episode of this year, where I was saying like, I just get the feeling that more and more people are getting or are coming up in that subset of people, which are, you know, living this, I don't know what the correct word is, but basically becoming bad people is what I'm saying, who are deliberately hurting other people. And it could be as a result of themselves also being hurt and all of that. And I understand that it's a very vicious cycle. But like, how do you reach that person rather than us repeating things to each other that we all already believe and know? And I mean, of course, it's important to continually affirm some of these beliefs and statements and so on. But what about those people who, I don't know if they've never heard it, or they just don't believe it, or they think it's a joke, or they don't take it seriously, or whatever. There's people who our message is not going to reach them because they are not in these discussions. I don't think. Maybe they are.
I'm not trying to make. I'm not making a message for them. I'm making a message for parents. The parents that listen to us. To hey, this is what your child is being exposed to. Please be wary. Please understand. There are some people who unknowingly are somewhat well-meaning people, but there are things that, if unaddressed, we may replicate without even realizing it. You know. And ideally, those are the other people we're trying to reach. But ultimately, those are like the parents, because I think a lot of our listeners are now getting to an age where they're thinking of having kids, already have kids. So and I've seen the toxic culture, especially in this environment. Lord knows it could be worse outside of the country. So wherever you guys can, just, you know, look after them kids, man. Give them, have a conversation with them, give them avenues and opportunities to talk to you, let you know what's going on. Protect themselves. And one of the things, as Meek Mill said, do you know how wild that Akademiks was? Akademiks was so wild. Meek Mill let out a coherent and well thought out tweet.
Do you remember when Meek Mill posted his Amazon listing by like, I think it was a dildo or something. And then he posted, yo, does anyone know how to delete tweets?
Was that real?
I don't know. I just see that screenshot come up every few months. It just comes up and I'm like, yo.
Anyway, let me read you one of Meek's finest tweets. If you're a parent, go get your kid's phone and block this man. He's grooming children with a very large platform. That, air quotes, kids like parentheses. No, sorry, this is ellipses. Also attempts to ruin black families and black success daily. More quotation marks. Villain in the village. And there's a screenshot of him blocking Akademiks TV Twitter account. Yeah, I read, this is the best we're going to get from Meek. It took a while, but I understood what he was saying. And he even threw in a shot about protecting himself, since Akademiks was the one throwing jabs at Meek Mill all year. But yeah, if you're, it's actually really scary, because now I'm just thinking about gaming, right? And I was looking into that, and that's why like sports games don't allow you to have live chat. But Fortnite does have live chat. Roblox does have live chat. There's so many games that do have live chat. And if this is how the big streamers are talking, that means all the other kids that follow them are talking like this. Can you imagine how? That is scary, actually.
That's scary. Oh man. Okay. Look. Let's actually pivot to another story so we don't dwell too much on some of these depressing issues, as important as they are. You know, sometimes it's tough to dwell on. We're still following up on conversation from last week. Last week we had, I think, as I was listening back to it, I was like, yo, this is a very insightful and in-depth discussion about the state of streaming or video on demand. We're talking about Netflix and the discussion about watch time versus subscribers, etc., etc. Very in-depth discussion. We have more news about it this week.
And that's because we are what, Dan? We are the what? Let's go. We're going to do a jingle. Let's see if we get the same tone again. We're doing a jingle. Because, Dan, we are the Tech Ombudsman. Oh, yeah. Take it. Have you tried turning the light off?
I think it was roughly along the same lines. So the story that was coming in from the UK is that for the first time ever, last year at the end of 2024, Netflix overtook BBC One in terms of most watched TV service in the UK.
That means most subscribers, which is wild because the BBC...
Not subscribers, because you don't subscribe to the BBC, right?
You pay a TV license.
It's open.
No, you pay a TV license.
Yes, you pay your TV license, but even if you don't pay, you can still access it. It's just that everyone has to pay. But yeah, it's the same as here. So you don't subscribe to it, you pay TV licenses.
Oh, we have an app where you can stream ZBC content?
They're not talking about apps. They're talking about watched TV service.
Yes, but I think for you to log in, you're watching it online and streaming. So that's what I'm saying. So where do we log in and watch our ZBC content?
I'm sure they're working on something, Phil. I'm sure they're working on something. So yeah, that was just a follow-up, and I thought it was very interesting. Point to look at that. Clearly, Netflix are doing their things, and I wonder in how many more countries that the national broadcaster, because that's not really a thing in America, right? Which is where a lot of the statistics and measurements and all that come from. But in most other countries, there's the main national broadcaster. So I wonder in how many more countries Netflix has overtaken the ZBC, the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, the whatever,
So yeah, as that story dropped, then another one dropped. The BBC is now extending a license or looking to extend licenses to cover streaming services.
Yes.
So Netflix users who do not watch the BBC could be made to pay a license fee under new funding options considered by the government. Extending the license fee to streaming subscribers is one proposal being looked at by ministers examining mechanisms to support the BBC when its current royal charter, which sets out corporation governance, ends in 2027. So it's like, oh, they're bigger than us, tax them immediately.
Do you remember when something similar was being discussed for Zim?
Mm-hmm.
Where there were discussions about, listen, all these guys they're extracting money from Zim, but Zim doesn't get any tax dollars from it. So all the Netflixes of this world and blah, blah, blah. Which, I can understand the argument, but I think we can't rely on old systems for this new world that we live in. So
yeah, and there are other ways to do it. Granted, Zim already taxes, which is why, for example, our DSTV subscriptions are double what they are anywhere else in the region, because that's a levy paid to the government. There are ways you could fairly do it and say, listen, you're extracting funds from us. The banks know who we're paying and do it that way. And certain organizations, certain large conglomerates that have streaming services, that have subscription platforms, they do that. Even PayPal, even my accounting software, it charges me VAT. Facebook charges you 15% VAT when you run ads as a company. So it's not unheard of. I just found the timing funny. But also, yeah, I do wonder what it's going to be like for kids that grow up in this generation, especially some kids, because we had a monoculture. Granted, some of it was centered around American programming, but we had a monoculture.
Well, but like old American programming.
Yeah, but it was still dope. And we could. I guess it was the beginning of globalization because like we had a monoculture around X-Men, about Voltron, etc. But they also had local stuff like Esomkito, Studio 263, Paraffin, Mukadota,
even a few South African things. I remember watching what was that sitcom? Suburban Bliss.
Yeah. So
Suburban. Yeah.
Does that mean like the kids of our this generation here, like they'll only be bonding on stuff on Netflix or stuff on Disney Plus, and then maybe a few TikTok stars that are local? So
even then, so I think what's changed now is rather than that like monolithic culture you're describing, I think it's a lot more fragmented, and there's now different, sort of like closed bubbles of their own little spheres of influence. So you got the gamers, you got the fantasy nerds, you got the people who love this, and there's some things where they might be crossover here and there, right? But it's less of a, we're all watching this at this time now. We're all sitting down to check this out. It's now time for wrestling. It's now time for the Saturday morning cartoons, because everyone sort of like gets into their own little bubbles of things that they like and they do. And there's pros and cons to both, right? But what I was going to say is I want to encourage our listeners to just pay a little bit of attention to what gets recommended, because I'm very curious, and this is on an anecdotal tip. If you notice a pattern of what's recommended to you, we'd love for you to share that with us. Like, you know what? Actually, I didn't really pay that much attention before, but now that I open my Netflix, I see there's so much recommendation of local stuff or international stuff or particular style of. I would love to see if you notice any patterns of recommendation, because it's very interesting to see how things are going. And yeah, I'll just be curious to know what you see, and if it matches what I see and matches what we all see. But I'm going to insist that we move on, Philip, in our tech ombudsmanship to a very big story.
There's a big story, bro. Almost $1 trillion off the stock market, man.
Over $1 trillion. I think at its peak, it was like $1.2 trillion drop in the American stock market.
And only 2.6 million, bro. Talk about bang for your buck.
So this is a story I've been paying close attention to. Now, again, standard disclaimer: I am not a person who works in machine learning or AI, or neither am I a person who works in the stock market or investment in something. I am just an enthusiast who consumes a lot of material on this. So allow me to paint a picture of what happened over the past 7 days in the world of tech, which was insane. You may have heard what happened. I'm going to try and explain it. And Phil, please also, gather your thoughts. So there is a Chinese company called Deepseek. It was founded in 2023 by a Chinese billionaire, former hedge fund owner. Fun story is he became a billionaire because he created this hedge fund that ran machine learning protocols, and so he basically created a rudimentary AI system to run this hedge fund.
So basically like a quant. He was basically a quant.
I mean, I don't know about that, but he was successful enough that I think he was worth $8 billion or something like that. So he's a billionaire, retired as a hedge fund owner, and decided, you know what? I got a lot of money. I'm going to experiment with some stuff. So in 2023, he launched Deepseek. There was very little information in the public domain about what was going on, but the people who are in the know knew about it, because these guys were publishing regular white papers. They were the entire thing that they were working on was open source, and it was available for peer review and all of this, right? Anyway, so this billionaire from China created this company called Deepseek, and then they started working on an AI tool. Now, here's some background information. AI is the big arms race at the moment. That's what all the countries of the world are really pushing towards. And frankly, it's the US and China. So the US has the upper hand because basically the only company in the world that makes chips that are good enough to handle the extreme processing needed to process these huge trillions of operations to train AI models is NVIDIA. That's why NVIDIA has become so valuable, not because of they were making gaming graphics cards, but because they were investing so much in making great gaming graphics cards, they were able to develop this technology that made these chips that can handle AI technology. There's no other company in the world that has the technology that they have. There's plenty of companies that are trying to make their own things and all of that. But that's why NVIDIA is so big, because they're like, the whole world has exploded on AI, and NVIDIA is the only company that makes the chips necessary for this, or the GPUs rather, necessary to process these huge amounts of processing that are necessary to train AI. So the US, in an effort to win this arms race, put severe restrictions on China receiving any kind of infrastructure from American companies. So China is unable, at least of the last couple of years, to receive large orders of processing units or GPUs that are coming through from NVIDIA, as NVIDIA is an American company. So the idea in the general market of AI was that China vasar, they can't compete because they don't have access to the only technology that can really process this correctly. However, remember I mentioned that, this dude, he had a few thousand, GPUs from his work that he was doing machine learning and so on, as opposed to the hundreds of thousands that are being used by like OpenAI, for example, even millions. Facebook is proposing to do huge data centers with millions of graphics cards. Anyway, so he had a few thousand that he had been using for his previous work. And he was like, I want to start building my own AI tool. So he started working on it. Hence the birth of Deepseek. Now, some people say it's because of the restrictions that they were forced to innovate. We can't do it the same way that the Americans do it, where we just brute force trillions and trillions of operations because we just don't have the tools and we don't have access to them. So they had to innovate and find a clever way of doing it. Hence, they created Deepseek V. Well, at this point, it's V. The latest is V3, which is the foundational model. So the foundational model is what the consumer models will be based on, right? So Deepseek existed, and they used something very innovative in that for a long time, we've spoken about how large language models are basically super advanced predictive text. In other words, ChatGPT, the GPT models or Llamas, Facebook's Llama or Microsoft's Copilot, they basically read every single sentence in the world and then use that to find what is likely supposed to be the next word after this as a very super simple explanation. So if you've read 5,000 trillion sentences and you are able to then determine if this is what we're talking about, what should the next word be? What should the next word be? What should the next word be? You can, to a very, pretty high degree of accuracy, figure out what a sentence is and so on. And which is, I think, very essentially what LLMs have been. But of course, they've evolved since then. There's reasoning to some extent models that have been applied and so on. So what Deepseek does is they introduce this reasoning model, which is supposed to mimic human thinking. It goes down multiple paths of reasoning before coming to a conclusion. And sometimes you can actually see the reasoning happen in real time when you ask a prompt within Deepseek. So their reasoning model is called R1. They launched it I think it's about 2 weeks ago now. They launched it and it was immediately a hit because everyone's like, yo, wait, what? Because it is as good as ChatGPT and even better in some instances. And definitely better than some of the other products that are out there like Grok and Meta's AI and so on.
Damn.
Now, remember,
a second grader who gets left by the bus every morning is better than Grok.
Of course. Now, remember, their white papers are out. This is open source. So everyone's now looking at it like, this can't be true. How did a company that no one knows, which was founded in 2023, just come up with something better than ChatGPT 4.0, which has taken years and billions of dollars to develop? On top of that, their white paper says we spent $6 million to make this. And everyone's like, nope, calling BS. It cost us billions to train data. Well, there is some argument about whether that 6 mil is accurate because, maybe they didn't calculate certain overhead costs. Maybe they didn't calculate energy costs. Maybe the labor costs were whatever. The point is, let's say they're
underreported by 500%.
It would still be orders of magnitude cheaper than what these huge companies around the world have been doing. And on top of that, remember, this was trained on old NVIDIA infrastructure. It's not on the latest NVIDIA chips. It's on old stuff that this guy had from his previous work. And maybe whatever he could get his hands on. Again, some critics say, no, he must have had some secret way to get some of the stuff. For even if he did, there's no way he got hundreds of thousands or not millions of them the same way that some of these companies have. So the point is, here's this tool that came out, and no one can deny that it's actually working because it's open source. You can see the code. You can see it working. So yeah, here's the situation where seemingly out of nowhere, but in reality, not out of nowhere because they had been documenting their whole journey the whole way. Here's this AI tool, chatbot that came out and shot to the top of the charts. Everyone's now talking about it. And obviously, this shook the American tech companies that had invested billions. There's a very interesting story to this. Remember one of Trump's, we spoke about it last week briefly when we were talking about Elon's motivations.
Used to be on Thursdays on SABC3. Great show.
Trump announced something called Stargate. $500 billion to be invested into AI infrastructure. Remember, the only company in the world that is currently making chips that can handle it is NVIDIA. So anyone who had NVIDIA stocks were like, guaranteed $500 billion coming in from the US government and, well, not directly from the government because other companies were invited to be part of this investment. Microsoft came in and said, we'll put $80 billion. But the point is, here was $500 billion ready to be invested basically in creating data centers and server farms using NVIDIA chips. NVIDIA was about to cash out. Then along comes this Chinese tool that did it with old tech. They did it with a few thousand chips as opposed to the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of chips that these bigger companies have been doing. And that changed everything upside down. Obviously, panic. What? What's going on? This is possible. Does this mean that we actually don't need that many chips? Does that mean we don't need 500 billion? Does it mean we only need to invest 1 billion? You know what I'm saying? And then we can get to what we need to get. Because as it stands now, China and America are neck and neck despite the restrictions that China had. Because Alibaba as well this week announced their own version of an AI tool. And it's maybe not as good as Deepseek, but right up there with the best chatbots. There's some technical stuff I want to get into, right? Which I think will be interesting.
This is what the ladies love to hear. Talk, Toy.
So if your eyes glaze over, I will like a person with Tourette's, just say some random things to wake you up in the middle of it. So how is it able to do this technology? How is it able to do this? How is it possible that here's $6 million invested, allegedly, into developing this new AI tool, whereas on the other ones, it cost billions of dollars? How is that possible? Well, there's two answers to this. Number one is the system that they use is what they call an MOE technology, which stands for mixture
money
of experts.
over everything. No?
Mixture of experts is completely different to what ChatGPT or any of the other AI tools use, which is basically brute force. It's just this huge monolithic, huge amount of training data. And in this huge amount of training data, you can get whatever answers because there's trillions of sentences and trillions of articles and all of that basically the whole internet exists in this training data, and ChatGPT can figure out what to say based on this training data. Whereas this MOE model or mixture of experts model it's kind of like, let's look at it this way. All right. You are the CEO of a company, Phil, and you've hired 50 consultants in different fields of expertise. You have a physicist, a chemist, a biologist, you have a tech expert, you have a software coder, you have a economist, you have, all these different experts. So now you want to create, let's say you want to write out a press release about the new piece or the new product that you've just released, which is going to help farmers. So when you use ChatGPT, it's like asking your entire group of 50 consultants, sit down, all of you, write down a press release for me, and then we combine them all together, and then we'll have one answer. That's obviously a lot of resources being used. Whereas what this model was doing was like, okay, we actually don't need everyone. Maybe let's only get the chemist, the physicist, the agronomist, the whatever, right? And then they sit down and they'll write out this press release. Then we'll combine it. The software developer and the economist maybe they just sit down. They sit this one out. This is how it was explained to me. And I was like, you know what? That does make sense. It's almost like efficiency cores in a CPU, right? You don't have to use the whole thing, just certain parts of it that are relevant. Mm-hmm. As to how they calculate which parts are relevant, I don't have enough technical knowledge to understand that. But yeah, so this MOE model or mixture of experts model allows it to be that much more efficient. For that reason, you don't need as many processing units, right? And it's not as compute intensive as the huge monolithic brute force methods that are used by some of these other things. So that's a huge innovation. In fact, many of the leaders of these other companies were like, okay, damn, we didn't think of it like that, Then the second thing is apparently a lot of their training data was like, we didn't have to ingest the whole internet because ChatGPT has already done that. So what we can do is just ask ChatGPT to just interpret it for us. So thanks. Which is why there's a lawsuit that came out this week where OpenAI are like, it's not fair, guys. It's not fair. These guys stole our information and used it to train their AI model.
Oh no!
And everyone's like,
oh no, OpenAI. Where did you get all that information from?
Wait, don't look at that. This can't be right, surely. Apparently, this is a very common and well accepted thing in the world of AI and machine learning. It's called distillation. I.e., we're taking the information that you've already processed and we're integrating it into our system and we're building on top of that. But obviously, OpenAI were like, well, they did that, but they did it to make a direct competitor to us, and that's not allowed. It's against our terms of service. Is it against your terms of service, OpenAI? Yeah, no one really has any sympathy for OpenAI because they basically ingested the whole internet without anyone's consent to train their own models. So, with a combination of these things, these guys were able to create this super efficient model. And R1 has blown people's expectations out of the water. So this is somewhat a somewhat description of what Deepseek is and how we got to this point. So here's Deepseek, the chatbot and AI tool that was so cheap to make, is so much more efficient, so much better on the environment, doesn't use as much power, doesn't cause as much chaos as these other models. So what was the impact? Well, the most immediate impact was seen on the stock market. All tech stocks except Apple dropped. Because they were like, everyone's AI tool is not as good as this Chinese AI tool. Especially Nvidia's tech stock dropped. Apparently they dropped like $500 billion in market cap.
600 now. Yeah.
$600 billion in market cap. Because the value of Nvidia is not just how much money they're making now, but the assumption that the world is going to be AI for the next few years at least, and there's so much training still to go. And they're going to need more chips. Any company that wants to get in is going to need more chips. Nvidia is primed to be the biggest company in the world. Put your money in. And then now all of a sudden it's like, wait, maybe we actually don't need that many. Maybe the ones we have are enough because, these guys did it with like 0.1% of the number of chips that ChatGPT or that OpenAI did. There is a caveat, and I don't know if it's you, Phil, or the producer who put this in our show notes about Joven's paradox.
So just to be clear, you thought our producer...
Phil, as you know, sometimes it's a copy-paste job, so I didn't know. So I saw this coming from Microsoft CEO, but I think several other people also spoke about it on the onlines. So walk with me here. Walk with me here, guys. We're now in the world of investment, which is super exciting, right? The bull case for Nvidia. AI is the next big thing. That's what every tech company in the world is working on. Even Meta, who changed their whole name of their company to go in a different direction with technology, are now focusing on Meta AI and their Llama project. So Nvidia is there's no other company in the world that can do this. Maybe in the future there will be. And there's definitely companies in China that are trying to figure out how we can make the same technology that Nvidia makes. But as of now, only Nvidia makes the tools that are needed for the thing that every tech company in the world is making their biggest priority. So 100% Nvidia is the thing to invest in right now. Shout out to Simba. The bear case. Wait, hold on. We assumed that every tech company in the world is going to need hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of GPUs from Nvidia.
Mm-hmm.
So they are going to be making GPUs from now until those production lines are going to be rolling nonstop. But this Chinese AI has made us think that maybe we don't need 1 million or 500,000. Maybe we only need 5,000. So is Nvidia going to be as profitable as we anticipate? Maybe we should sell. Worse off, this tool from China is working on old Nvidia cards. That means maybe we do not need to upgrade. Maybe we don't need to buy new ones. Maybe the ones we have are good enough. So there's this dichotomy of, is it a bull or bear case? Now, the disclaimers that, you know what, you never know what a person's interest is. When someone says something, are they protecting their investment? Is Sachin Nadella super invested in Nvidia? Maybe. This company definitely is.
He is, because all the Azure credits that they give to OpenAI are based on the data centers that run on Nvidia chips.
So does that mean he would say whatever he needs to say to make sure that the stock price doesn't drop too far? Probably.
It's his job.
It doesn't mean that what he said, it doesn't mean that what he said doesn't have merit. And what he said and what other people said, well, hold on, don't be so quick to sell, because there is something in the world of economics that is called Jevons paradox. Jevons paradox basically says when something becomes more efficient because of technology, you expect that it's going to be used less. So, for example, when cars get better at and more efficient at handling fuel, you would expect that fuel companies will sell less fuel because it takes less fuel to get to where you want to go. But this paradox actually tells you that it's the opposite, because once it becomes more efficient, it means your fuel goes further, which means you're more inclined to use it, which means you're going to drive further. So you're actually going to use more fuel because it's now efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Or if the price of fuel goes down, you're going to use more fuel. So you'll actually end up spending more on fuel than if the price goes up. And the reasoning is, okay, if you're telling me it's now cheaper to run AI tools, that doesn't mean NVIDIA is going to need to make less. It means they're going to need to make more, because one, it means more companies are going to invest. It means more companies are going to need this. It means everyone's going to try and expand what they're doing, which I do somewhat see the bear case for that, the bull case for that, rather. So this is just a couple of other things to mention, right? In the entire story, right? This has just happened. So a lot of things are murky and unclear. So, for example, is this better for the environment? It seems to be, but we don't 100% know all the details yet. This just happened. Most of the major investors haven't announced any cuts to spending. Facebook are still going ahead with their multi-billion investment in data centers for their AI tools. There's been no talk about Stargate reducing this $500 billion plan. Everyone still seems to be going full speed ahead. But we'll have to see how things go. Two other things to mention. Is why did China decide to go open source? Right? Because, hey, America has placed restrictions on what China can access in terms of infrastructure for their own AI development. Why would China make something that's open for everyone to implement? Technically, OpenAI could now take whatever the model is of DeepSeek and implement it into their own ChatGPT, and profits galore. So why would they do that? Valid question. Mm-hmm. One theory, and this is the theory that I think holds the most water, is China playing the long game. Right now, this transformer model that was developed by OpenAI and Google DeepMind, or I can't remember whatever it's called, those are the biggest and best models in the world, air quotes. So every AI tool is built on those. But if China has this open tool that anyone can use for free, you can take the source code, implement it into your own tools, then maybe that becomes the best and most used model in the world. So you do not benefit directly, but now a Chinese-built model is the best and most used AI tool in the world. And it develops that much faster, and use cases develop that much faster. Remember, the best one and the first one is DeepSeek. So that's going to be the one that is the granddaddy of all of them. And if you're telling me that down the line, 2 years from now, every AI company around the world is using a Chinese model, they'll figure out how to monetize that down the line. I think that's the theory.
It's not necessarily just about monetizing. It's about sunken cost, influence, wasted development. Because if just by releasing one model, you can wipe this much off. Granted, let's also be fair. Right now, DeepSeek is a private company with no public affiliations to the CCP as of now. So let's not muddy the waters there. But I think long term, even just as a businessman, if you're a businessman, OpenAI is your competition. I've undercut my competition, and we have a different business model to yours, because we can develop platforms faster and that are more executable on an open source platform and then find ways to monetize later. Because essentially development has now been outsourced. And there's an XQCD, a series of XQCD comics that are, I don't know if you've ever seen them, where it talks about like all the infrastructure of the internet. Like it's this big mind map with like the infrastructure of the internet. And then in the corner that where everything hinges, it says some third party open source platform being maintained by one person in Idaho.
Yeah.
That you
take that out and the whole world's internet dies.
Yeah.
So, okay. And then, so that's the one thing. That's the theory that I think makes the most sense to me as to why it's open source. Because it could have been very much closed source. But you know what would have happened if it was closed source is people would be like, no, it's a lie. It's a trick. It's not even really real. Maybe they're using ChatGPT under the hood. Maybe it's, something else. And also you're not allowed to integrate it because it's a Chinese thing. But if it's open source, you're no longer integrating a Chinese thing. You're building your own American thing, just using their source code.
And you're like, come have a look under the hood. Tell us what you find.
Yeah. You can look by yourselves and see if what we're saying is a lie or true. So I can see the value of making it open source. Then the other narrative that I saw spreading quite a bit in the panicked discussions about this DeepSeek situation was, yeah, but have you tried asking it about Tiananmen Square? And it's a tech tool from China. What are you expecting?
No, but Dan, there's so many bantams on ChatGPT. Come on, guys. Really, guys?
We knew this going in. All right. It's not anything surprising. It's not something like, well, have you tried asking it about? Have you tried asking about Mao Zedong? Like, guys, it's China works the way whether you think it's bad or not, and I think most of us would agree that any restriction of information is not necessarily a good thing. But that's China. It is what it is. That's China. China. It is what it is. We knew that going in. So there's no need for us to sit here and be like, oh, but try asking it about this. That's just what it is. All right. Even Google has restrictions in China.
Google has restrictions, period.
There's certain apps. Here we are free and fair. China just says, take that app off the app store. Yes, sir. It is what it is. That's China. So yeah. So please stop with the whole, but the guardrails they've put in place. Clearly it's not free.
What happened to Western ideologies? This is very anti-Western propaganda. Yeah, it's not right, huh? Oh, geez.
So let me tell you, if you didn't invest in NVIDIA, what up, Simba? These are very exciting times because we're literally we're watching it unfold in front of our eyes. We're seeing this potentially historical, I don't know who it was. I think it was Mark Andreessen who said it's a Sputnik moment. If you're unfamiliar with that is, right? Okay. So back in the days of the space race between Russia and America, here, the spies from both countries are reporting that we're both working to see who's going to be the first to send someone to space, right? Lo and behold, Russia are first when they send Sputnik into space, the first country in the whole world to send a human being to space. That lit a fire under America and, their whole, we're the greatest country in the world. And they locked in and became the first country in the world to land someone on the moon. So it was this whole race of who's going to win in this technological fight. And in the long term, you could say America won because America owns the majority of satellites that exist in the space. And they're the ones who've been able to, monetize and build over that infrastructure that they were able to sort of build when they won the space race ultimately. Because Russia initially won and then ultimately America won because they were the first to the moon. They were able to solidify this whole
and how do
space
you feel
belongs
about that?
to us.
How do you feel about that, you Russian double agent?
I have no feelings whatsoever because I think that nationalism is a game played by those on the bottom rungs, and those higher up the ladder are simply using it to manipulate everyone else. So, yeah, the people that they are busy having drinks with your country's enemies leaders, but they whip up nationalistic sentiments. Anyway. That's a whole other story for another time. So some people are saying like this is going to be the moment that's going to drive. And surprisingly, Trump said something along the lines of this should be a wake-up call. America, let's work on, So it's fascinating to watch it play out in real time. Ultimately, it's going to be good for consumers. We hope. We hope it doesn't lead to a Cold War or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's fascinating to watch. That's the story of Deepseek. I hope it makes sense to you. I hope the explanation was clear, but I'm going to do a TLDR for everyone. Right? China surprised everyone by releasing their version of AI that is far better, more efficient, and cheaper than the AI that was coming out of America. Meanwhile, Europe is discussing coffee cups. That's not true. By the way, here's a fun story. There's only one company in the world. Well, okay, this is not really accurate. Okay, the main company in the world that makes the tools that are needed to make the chips that NVIDIA makes is from the Netherlands. So the NVIDIA is only able to make their chips because they buy tools from this company in the Netherlands. It's everything is so fragile. It's so crazy to me because
yeah. And I was also reading an article about like how TSMC is able to be the biggest chip manufacturer because Taiwan has this weird geopolitical position where their passport is like our green bomb. It's useless. So you have all these highly qualified engineers who have refined this process because they have all the experience and skill working for around $30,000 a year or less simply because they can't leave the country. And if they could leave the country, they would command positions anywhere else in the world that would pay them orders of magnitude higher. But because of the situation in Taiwan, it's able to do so. It's just these weird balances. So like, can you imagine like the ramifications would be if like Taiwan's passport or Taiwan's situation just got them like free H1B1 visas or something?
I feel like a lot of things would collapse. It would be hilarious because everything is on a knife edge and it's all capitalistic interests. You know what I'm saying? It's literally trillions of dollars that is like all depending on everything remaining exactly as it is, and there's no funny business to shake things up. And along comes China, we're cutting all aid. So it's going to be very interesting to just watch how things play out. Yeah. So I was saying, I was doing the TLDR. China made this AI that seems to be better than everyone. So now everyone in America is panicking because wait, are you telling me that we thought we were leading and we lost? Now let's see what happens, how they respond. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe is inventing cars that drive on radio waves.
We are ahead of the game. Talk about a game.
We are out here. We are out here. We are out here. This reminds me of my idea when I was in primary school. Like, why don't we just stick a magnet to the front of a car and then hang another magnet just a few centimeters in front of that one?
I'm laughing because I had the same idea. Do you know when I like whenever I really think about that, I'll be like, like when you're in the highway and you're low on fuel and you're like, I don't want to stop, and I wish I was Magneto because I just put my car in neutral and then just tow the car.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the story of Deepseek. Consider yourself tech ombudsed. What else do we want to talk about?
That was the tech ombudsman. Tech ombudsman. Got it that time.
Do you want to talk about fighting games the best fighting games of all time, Philip?
I don't know. Are we pressed for time?
No, we're not. Actually, no. Actually, we have to move on. I didn't check the time, and you're like, right, Ish, you are very right. Listen, okay.
Let's just see. Let's just see the 15. Let's just see. Okay, I'm going to the top 10. Let me just see. I don't care. Tekken 8. Okay. Tekken 8 is the best one. I would say Tekken 3. Def Jam 5 for New York, number 2. I ain't not mad at that. Marvel vs. Capcom, surprising at number 3. Super Mario Smash Brothers Melee. So wait, so far we've got no Mortal Kombat, no Soul Calibur.
Mortal Kombat comes in at number 5. Mortal Kombat 9.
No Toshinden.
Yeah. No Street Fighter.
Can you imagine? So Mortal Kombat 9 comes in at 5.
Did you ever play King of Fighters?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of these are very new. Okay, Super Street Fighter 2. Okay, so now we're going back. Mortal Kombat 2. Okay. Oh, Fight Night Champion. I remember this game. That was a good game. I had that. Soul Calibur finally makes an appearance at 11. Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Guilty Gear Strive, Power Stone, Injustice. Okay, interesting. Not, I wouldn't say that's a comprehensive of the best, but it's nice. Okay. All right.
Okay, cool. Okay, the rest of the stuff we can skip. All right.
Oh yeah, have you tried to watch Gladiator?
I have not. I was supposed to watch it this weekend, but I was working. So Phil, Friday is the last day that I have scheduled of intense work, and then it goes back to normal work schedules. I'm sincerely hoping that that's just how it's going to be tomorrow. Whew. Just tomorrow. Come on, Denny, make it to the weekend and we can relax somewhat. There's a brand new song that I would like to play for everyone. It's from friend of the show. It's an exclusive. Well, by the time you hear this podcast, she would have dropped it. So she's dropping this Friday. Gemma has announced her upcoming album, her debut full-length project. It's apparently going to be called Gemma, and she's dropping her first single tomorrow in the lead up to that album. So you will have the privilege of listening to it. If we manage to finish all the editing in time, you might even listen to it before it drops. The name of the song is Maka, and I think we can react to it live, Phil. So this is that brand new Gemma of her upcoming album, and apparently this album is the one, Phil. This is the one. So let me drop it for you. Let me drop it for you. And brand new, exclusive. It's Gemma off her upcoming debut full-length project. It's called Maka. Check it out.
Early 6 a.m. mangwana ndindopinda mura ndindamuka. I work a hard, and ndinachonono. Ndinowana ndirimo. All day ndirimo, ndino kakata. Handimirire babonza ndirimo. All day ndirimo, ndino kakata. Never cared about famous. Only cared about growth, only cared what I wrote in the music I'm making. But my moves have been major. Never needed a crowd, but they know my name now through the music I'm making. Jandina dandotera, dotera, handi onne banne maka. Jandina dandotera, dotera, handi onne banne maka. Kumukira mangwana nekusata. My dreams are present in orata. Moyo ane haboja onata. Jandinata. If it takes my whole life andirare. Nyango zoere zindaka pikira kurindira. If it takes my whole life andirare. Nyango zoere zindaka.
What do you think, Phil? What do you think?
I ain't mad at it.
I vibes with it. Produced by Oskid. It's like I said, it's dropping this Friday. It's her first single in the lead up to her album, which is dropping in May. I like the vibe of it. It looks like she's going in a slightly different direction, a little bit more. I don't know what to call it, but I vibes with it. Shout out Gemma. Excited to hear the rest of this album. Any other music you've been checking out, Phil?
Not out of this week. It's been a bit hectic. But I think we covered it, man. We got a good show. We got a solid
Honestly,
show.
I was hoping you'd say that because I really need to go. Look, ladies and gentlemen. Solid. Look, Phil, I think this was a good show,
Mm-hmm.
We had everything from gossip, jokes, and serious conversations, and even tech ombudsmanship. Nice mixed bag for everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to take advantage of this opportunity to end the podcast here. Thank you so much to everybody who supports the show. Shout out to the new patrons who have joined the community. Shout out to all of y'all who will continue to support us. If you would like to become a patron member and join the exclusive group where we have great conversations, where a lot of the discussion points we have in here and any follow-up discussions happen, it's twobroketwimbos.com/donate. Minimum of $5 will get you in. Just $5. And we will count you among the elite Two Broke Twimbos patrons. And we will interact, have a great time, talk stories, GGG. In the meantime, also, please, if you're listening to this, do us a favor, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X, even Threads. And whenever you come across our content, just drop us a retweet, drop a comment, drop a like, a reshare, repost, whatever the case is. So we try to get these clips out there. And and of course, you can always support us just by dropping a comment. Hey, okay, if you're on Apple Podcasts and you're listening to this right now, open your Apple Podcasts, scroll to the bottom where there's reviews, drop a 5-star rating right now. We'd appreciate it very much. And if you can, a quick comment. Great show. Tech ombudsmen don't know how to spell it. Signed, the clapped ting. And we would appreciate it. Okay. Thank you, boys and girls. We're going to wrap up the podcast here. We will catch up with you in the next week's episode. Is Two Broke Twimbos signing out. We are out.
That sounds more like Barney. For some reason, that sounds like Barney. Anyway, bye, guys. We love you.
Looking in your eyes, I fall for every single time. Don't need to give me more signs. I'm on my last one, drinking